Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this episode of the Children First Family Law Podcast. I am glad to welcome with us Heather Ruiz from Talking Parents. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Krista, thank you so much for having me.
So today is our first of a few episodes. They're probably not going to be right in a row. They might be, depends on my planning and how I get my act together. But there is something within the co-parenting world that can really help people. And Talking Parents is one of the companies that helps us. And Heather works for Talking Parents. It is one of several applications that parents can use to improve their communication, make co-parenting more effective, do things like share expenses and receipts and track things and share calendars. And there's a lot of functionality within these apps that can really help people communicate better. And so that's what we are embarking upon in listening to people from the companies talk about how to do this, why to choose one over the other. And so this is inherently a little salesy, and that's okay because I want people to hear directly from the companies. And Heather is our first one. So Heather, start us off because you're the first. Give us a little bit of just sort of general, not specific to Talking Parents, but just generally, why are these communication platforms necessary and kind of what are the benefits for parents to use them?
Sure, absolutely. So, co parenting communication apps have been around for a really long time. I think the difference is that they've just evolved over what is inclusive in communication. So, like you said, when people first think about these, they think of, messaging, text messaging, as well as sharing a calendar, like you said, expenses. A lot of them have expanded to be able to do recorded phone and video calls within the apps as well. And then having various spaces that can be used privately or in a shared circumstance when it comes to where you can store all of your important documentation. So, really, what the apps are doing is providing an all in one place for you to compartmentalize everything that has to do with your co parenting so that you're not having to jump in and out of your bank account and jump in and out of your email and your phone logs and the long list of ways that people can communicate these days. It really keeps everything in one place so that you can, number one, have kind of that mindset that you're going into co parenting mode, if you will, when you go in there to interact with an ex spouse or a child's parent. And that way, it's not kind of bleeding into every aspect of your life. And by keeping it all in one place as well, it helps with that documentation. So if you ever do have to go back and reference something, or you do have to go to court and you have to bring um, any kind of record keeping or documentation to a system, it's all right there and you're not having to dig through a bunch of different platforms. So, number one, saves you a lot of headache of having to keep track of all of that, as well as time and money going through and having to look at everything. And what's really great about a lot of these systems is that they do also provide a record so that anytime you do need to make that reference, you can go in and get that record and you and your co-parent are walking in with the same exact account of what has happened within that system. So there's no he said, she said. A lot of them have view timestamps and other detailed recordings of the communications that have happened. So you
Yeah.
can't say, oh, I didn't see that, or oh, I didn't hear that, or,
Right.
I wasn't aware of that because it's there and you know that that person saw what it was. And it's
Yeah.
increasingly more important now too, because obviously with new features that are coming out with, especially the iPhone, you can edit and delete text now after you've sent them.
Mm.
So that's an easy way to kind of mess with that communication and potentially be manipulative if somebody is trying to be a bad actor. Shared calendars, you can go in and edit things with absolutely no history of showing that what it used to be prior to you changing things along those lines. So the value is that everything is recorded and documented, and it's very difficult for people to get around and manipulate situations.
So tell us about Talking Parents. And I love too that you shared with me that you are a 15-year co-parent yourself. And I love that. And so I think Heather can share too sort of how she thinks it could. I mean, she can't hawk it in her own life. It's like not what she ends up using, but she certainly, and a lot of the executives working at Talking Parents have this perspective. So they're coming at it from a shared experience of how can we help parents be better? So take it away with what the Talking Parents features are, or what you think parents need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Talking Parents was founded by a family law attorney who is also a co parent himself. And like you said, a lot of our leadership team is either in a step parent or a co parent role. So, this really is a passion project for us because we can take our own circumstances and experiences and really apply this to how we develop the product and the enhancements that we continue to do and things along those lines. And very much like your firm, we are focused on helping parents co parent and become the best co parents and parents that they can. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the kids. And that is the main thing that we're trying to get co parents to really focus on. So, de escalating that conflict and really trying to limit any communication to the child and not to what may have contributed to the breakdown of the relationship or whatever that may be. So, along with your standard messaging and shared calendar, as well as calling, video, and phone calling, we offer other tools like our info library, our vault file storage, and our personal journal that allow co parents to share information with each other without having to actually communicate. So, if say your children's parent is the holder of the medical insurance policy that they're on, and it's renewal time and all the policy information changes, every year that has to be a conversation about, okay, what's the new policy update? Can you send me pictures of the cards and, those types of things. Whereas with the info library, the parent can just go in and update that information and keep it updated within the info library cards, and you don't even have to have a conversation about it.
Mm.
You can set a recurring event annually on December 1st, when their policy renews or whenever that might be. And that event pings them, reminds them, hey, I need to go in and update the info library card with the insurance information, and they can just go in there and do that. So I can say that is one thing that makes us very unique to a lot of the other co-parent to I would venture to say most of the other co-parenting services is the lengths that we take to ensure that all of our documentation is not handled manually. Obviously, there's a lot of error that can happen when you're copying and pasting and moving things over. Um, we've also put in place several security tools and features and things around the records as well, because it is very easy to alter PDF documents. It's also easy to alter printed documents. So we have gone the extra step. And honestly, over, I would say, the last year or so, we've had a couple of judges reach out to us and thank us for the iron tight security that our records have because they have actually caught co-parents trying to modify these records and bring them into court. So one of the things that we do is that every record, whether it's a printed record or a PDF record, gets a 16-digit authentication code when it is generated. So anytime that record is brought into court, whether it's that day when it's generated or 3 months later, they know that this record looks like it might have been tampered with, and they can reach out to Talking Parents and say, "Hey, I have this authentication code and we're questioning this page on it. Can you please directly send us this page of this document?" And then we can send them exactly what that page is supposed to look like, if there's any question about that.
Oh,
What
that's
we've
great.
also yeah, what we've also implemented for all of our PDF records is a digital signature. So if that PDF is tampered with at all, the digital signature will appear invalid. So that will say that somebody went in and tried to alter the PDF in some way, shape, or form. Another step that we've taken for our printed records is that there's a watermark on the printed records that we ship out. And so if someone tries to photocopy a page of that printed record, that watermark will come up and it will say not original copy
Oh,
on
wow.
it. So, that way people aren't trying to photocopy a page and then slide it into a 400-page printed record that might be there.